Hi, and welcome. We created this space for people from all walks of life to come together and share their powerful testimonies, life stories, and personal journeys. Whether you're a teenager navigating life or 50 and fabulous, this channel is for you. Our goal is to create a warm, open, and inspiring community where every voice matters. We believe that through sharing stories, healing can happen, and you just might find a story that speaks directly to you. So sit back, relax, and connect with our amazing guests. We're so glad to have you here. Enjoy! Hi guys, welcome back to Sarah is a Blogger. Today we have Noah and Tim here. Say hi guys.
Hey
Hello.
guys.
All right, we'll get straight into it. Noah, we'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Noah, obviously, and I'm just, I'm 22 years old. It was actually my birthday like a couple of weeks ago. Turned 22. I play footy. I have a brother named Tim that I live with. Got dating a lovely woman by the name of Genesis. Shout out Genesis, the Dangi Loa.
That's good.
And yeah, that's about it.
Okay. So basically the podcast, we talk about a little bit about our experiences. So actually, before we get into that, Tim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Tim, Noah's brother. I too live with Noah, my brother, and Linny, my wife, my beautiful wife. She's at home watching this. Shout out Linny. And yeah, together we all live pretty happily in a big house. Me, Lemma, our friend, and Noah and Linny.
Shout out Lemma.
Shout out to Lemma. He's probably watching this somewhere as well. Yeah, I play footy for Rabbitohs now. Recently changed clubs from Tigers. I'm a church goer, and yeah.
All right. Well, on that topic, church goer, something we should share on this podcast is a little bit about our journey with God. So pretty much our testimony. So whoever wants to start, tell us a little bit about your life before God, after God, during God, the whole lot.
I'll start. Well, we actually got raised in a Christian household. My mum and dad were pretty big on God and faith, and they went to church for a little bit, but then I think their church split up when we were young, a bit younger. So we stopped going from when we were probably about 10 to probably like 18 or whatever. But they were always like big on God and stuff, and always telling us to kind of seek Jesus when we had troubles and that in our lives. And then I think when I first moved away from Tweed Heads, which is where we grew up, and went to Newcastle, I started going to church for myself, to a Hillsong there in Newey. And I guess when I was away from home and my family and everyone that I grew up with, I was really by myself. I was isolated. I started wanting to learn more about God, and I guess for myself, I kind of felt like I needed a relationship with God more, and I felt like I was kind of growing a little bit from when I was about 18. And then, but it didn't really ever like have an actual effect on my life in real time. Like it was more just to go on Sundays and start to feel a little better about certain things and a little bit of faith, I guess. And then it wasn't until when I was about 20. I was about to turn 21 on January 2023. And then me and Noah gave our lives to Jesus, I guess, more seriously from a place of like needing to get out of a pretty dark spot that we were probably both in. And we were pushed to rock bottom, I guess, from life, and we turned to God and wanted to do it properly this time. And I guess that was about 2 years ago now. And that was 2 years ago, and yeah, it changed our whole lives. It changed the trajectory of our lives. It changed everything from the inside and from the outside. And yeah, I guess that's where life really started for me.
And what about you, Noah?
Well, yeah, same backstory, like with the church and that. But yeah, when he moved to Newcastle, I was still in Gold Coast, and I was in Gold Coast for like a year and a bit, and then after I was with the Titans at the time, And after my contract ended with the Titans, I moved to Newcastle. They offered me a deal. I moved to Newcastle with Tim, and then yeah, we were living together and that was when I started like kind of going to church with Tim, going to Hillsong as well, and like same sort of thing. Like I was feeling a bit of faith in that. Like I'd never actually gone to church on my own like accord till then, and then yeah, went to the Hillsong there, and then yeah, same thing. We were just kind of living that party life and that with the footy and all that sort of stuff, and then yeah, we found the church and then got baptized and like yeah, changed all our lives, and yeah, hasn't been the same since.
So, like you were saying, you both went through like a dark time.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about those dark times and like what was both of your turning point? Like, at what point were you like, nah, this isn't filling my cup anymore. I need to.
Well, it was probably a gradual thing. Like, we always had a lot of, I guess, ups and downs growing up, and that when I was like going through high school, like I was just a pretty naughty kid, getting myself in a lot of trouble. And then I guess when I first when I started, I guess, drinking a lot and like doing drugs and that, and thinking that was fun and thinking that that's the life I wanted to live, and I guess I was putting on a bit of a persona, and yeah, I kind of always knew deep down that it wasn't a good way to live and it wasn't probably the life for me, but I kind of ignored that voice, and then it was literally I think the 6th of January night of 2023, the night before we kind of got baptized, and that we were kind of out partying again. We were probably blew all our money again, and we were down on money, down on, I guess, I don't know what was so different about that night. It just was not, something just wasn't kind of adding up, and yeah, that was like probably the next morning. I remember the next morning when I was driving, I actually kind of had a moment with God and kind of told God if he's real, I want to live for him, and if he's going to change my life, like I'll go with him if he changes my life. And then
yeah, we both got baptized like on the same day. So it was funny because the night before at the club, like in the club, I was drinking, like we were having a big night or whatever. But all of a sudden, it's like I got sobered up, like in the club, and like I had a moment in the club where I was just like, yeah, like I just kind of knew that the life I was living just wasn't like what life is meant to be anymore. And then yeah, that was like I'd already made the decision then, like that I was kind of going to change my life. I didn't know how, I didn't know what was going to happen. But then the next day, like Tim come and he was talking about getting baptized and that, and then I was like, all right, yep, that's it. I'll jump on. Then we both ended up getting in the tank together, and then we yeah, that's the
Started your journey.
yeah, started the journey.
I think one question I'd like to ask is, obviously no one knows how to be a Christian, right? Like it's just a journey that you experience. Like you guys coming from a background of like drinking, drugs, all that kind of stuff, and then being baptized. How did your lifestyle change? Like how did you know what to do and what you shouldn't be doing? Like how did you move away from that lifestyle?
Well, the church definitely helped at that time. Gave us like a lot to do. It took our mind off a lot of, I guess, outside influences and that, and we just got really entrenched in the church culture, and like we were kind of volunteering everywhere, and we were just kind of distracting ourselves from, I guess, everything else.
Yeah, doing all the Bible studies, doing Bible studies, meetings.
Yeah, it was a breath of fresh air, because like we hadn't just like hung out with people like sober for a long time, where we just kind of chilled, and no one was thinking about like drinking or nothing, or like it was, everyone kind of had pure motives, I guess. And that was like a change, and we started doing that, and then yeah, we actually just fell in love with reading the Bible, I guess, and God, we just kept seeing God show himself and reveal himself more and more in our lives, and we realized, wow, like he's actually real. You can actually kind of grab hold of him, and I guess he can, yeah, it's true what the Bible says about people walking with God, like it's actually true.
We like went really like over, like we went like really far with it. Like we kind of even cut off like heaps of our old friends, and like
Even our like family, we
Yeah,
kind of turn
even our
around.
family, we just would argue with them all the time, tell them like they're not saved and living right
Yeah.
and they're not holy like we are.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that was what happened. Like you kind of once you learn about it and you just get all this like joy in that, and like you just want everybody else to get on like your level,
Yeah, you go
sort of
through
thing.
those seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
definitely a bit. Um, yeah, well, it's funny we're talking about like how to be a Christian. You think you know, you always think you know how you're living, how to be a Christian, and then like as you kind of gradually grow, your view changes and your perspective changes. And I suppose as you always, the more you mature and the more you grow, like the more your life's going to change. The more you think about things is going to change. The more your perspective is going to change. So when you first get saved or whatever, how you going to call it, born again, or have an experience with God, you think that point in time is everything's perfect, but then like God just shows you more and more how much it just gets better and better. It
Yeah.
actually gets better and better. You go from like thinking this is the best and you couldn't have anything more, and He somehow just always exceeds that.
glory to glory.
Glory to glory, yeah, in the
Yeah.
Bible it says that. So I guess that was like a big thing. Seeing God actually transform our lives, transform everything that we thought life was about, and He showed us kind of what to think about and stuff.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
main thing. He made us like more conscious of everything that we're doing, not just church, not just like, you know, I don't know, footy or whatever. It's everything. It's
Yeah.
like everything you're doing. You,
And
you
why
start
you're doing
thinking
everything,
about
yeah.
why you're doing it, what purpose is it serving, and like that's really what God does. He gives you gives you wisdom to like live life and to live like the best life that you can, and to he's just like your friend. He's always with you.
Yeah,
He's
he's your
always,
friend.
but no matter how far away like you think you are from him or whatever, like you realize he's in all
Yeah,
the
it doesn't change.
situations. Yeah,
Nothing changes.
he's in all the situations that you get yourself into.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Before we close off, 2 more questions. All right. So, second last question. Obviously, when you're born again, have that experience with God, you're on fire and you want to like tell everyone about it and all that kind of stuff. When that dies down, like when you start maturing in your faith and you start going through trials, and obviously sometimes it becomes a little hard to see where God's at. Obviously, when you're in that trial, what advice would you give, or like how did you guys cope in those times where you're like you couldn't see like a way out?
Well, it's actually so hard because if God always, it talks about in the Bible like your faith that's more precious than solid gold, but it's tested through fire. Like it does get tested, and sometimes you find yourself in a place where you're not actually in faith anymore, and you just kind of, I guess, think you're kind of doing everything by yourself, and you're in a place that like, oh, where is God? Like, where is God? Oh, what's the point? Like, but then I suppose that's faith in itself is like, it's always going to come back. That kind of place of like leaning on God, it's always going to come back. And I think God always is going to make sure that no matter where you're at in life, He's going to bring you back to like where He is, thinking about Him, and just, I guess he gives you new ways to kind of attack situations in life, whereas before you probably wouldn't think of it. And then this time, like, it's just new. It's just new the way you kind of approach things and the way you handle things, and the way you kind of, I don't know. He sometimes he kind of probably makes you feel like a little bit low, so that when he comes back, when you feel him come back, it can't be mistaken that it was God, and that it's
Yeah.
God there, and that it's God that's giving you the victory. Because sometimes when things don't go bad, we think it's because of us. So then when it goes bad, we rely on God.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we kind of start relying on ourselves a bit too much. That's what I found anyway.
Yeah, what's the question again?
So like obviously when you start maturing your faith and you go through trials and whatnot,
Yeah,
like a time that you've gone through trials and you can't see God's hand in it, how did you like cope with it? Like how did you keep going?
you always just like, I swear for me, the Bible is always like just kind of spoken to me through it. Like, I don't know, it's just like, that's like the one thing that, because me and Tim, even now we probably like we've changed so much from even when we first got saved, and that like we were like running around like preaching at outreaches and things like that. Like we were doing all this stuff, but like the one thing that's like stayed the same is the word. The word's always been there. So like I'd say that's the thing that helps me
Yeah.
through it all is like is just knowing that the word's there and God's you can always like go back to it. That's the one like pillar of like truth that we have is like the word. So
Yeah, like every time we've changed, we always change, and seasons always change, but the word's always there.
I'll give an example.
Yeah.
Like we started when we first got saved, we were playing footy for the dogs or whatever. Then like at the end of the year, like we ended up giving up footy and not playing for 5 months and like just slimming down. We were like 90 kilos or whatever. And then like out of nowhere, like footy just come back and like and then God blessed it and like we ended up in like the Tigers or whatever. But our whole lives was changing and like all this stuff was going on. But like the one thing that we had through it all was just the word that God
Yeah.
was telling us and the word that God was speaking to us. So
That's
yeah, that's the one thing that I can like say for sure helps me through trials.
Yeah. And lastly, before we finish off, if there is anyone that was in the position that you guys used to be in, like, you know, thinking that drugs, alcohol, partying will fill that void, what advice would you give to someone who may be going through that, that's listening right now?
Yeah, it's different for everyone. So some people don't, I guess, take the same things to make you kind of rattled, or the same things to make you kind of fall back to Jesus and call out on Jesus. Like some people find God when they're broken and lost, and some people find God when they're at like the happiest in their lives. So it's different for everyone. But one thing that I know for certain, like Noah said, is like the word of God is the most powerful thing ever. And once you actually feel the peace and the joy and the love that God has, it's better than any drug, it's better than any money, it's better than anything that this world or that you think you can get. It just beats all of it by far. I was thinking about it the other day, and I think I said it to you actually. Like God's the thing. It's the thing that everyone's chasing. The endorphins, the euphoria, the mystery, the anything that the adventure, anything anyone's chasing. I found it all in God.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that. Like if you actually have a heart that wants to go after Him and you actually try and put the steps to your faith, He'll reward you and you'll see Him and it will change your life.
Yeah, you just go on like this crazy journey, and like we're not nowhere near finished. Like you're nowhere
No,
near
I don't think it
done.
does finish. Yeah.
Like it never finishes, but you're just like constantly on a journey and getting like new starting points, and then like
It's like the unexpected journey.
yeah,
With
and then
Bilbo Baggins.
yeah, exactly, like Bilbo Baggins. But yeah, you just get like he just puts that much things in front of you, that many new things, new
Yeah.
people, new
True.
circumstances or whatever, and you just end up, you know,
Living a nice life.
yeah, living a nice life.
So if you were to do it all over again, would you say it's worth it?
100%.
1000%. Yep. It's crazy good. God's mad.
Amazing. Well, thanks guys for sharing with us.
Thanks for having us on, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
And we'll catch you guys later.
Catch you
Bye.
guys.
See you guys.